Iran is often seen as a formidable power, with military parades showcasing its strength and discipline. The world watches as columns of soldiers march in perfect formation, tanks rumble down the streets, and missiles are displayed as symbols of national pride and deterrence. Its leaders, standing at podiums and addressing both domestic and international audiences, project unwavering strength across the Middle East, determined to assert Iran's influence in a turbulent region. This image of defiance and military prowess is not just for show, it's central to Iran's identity and survival strategy, a message to both its people and its rivals that the nation will not be easily subdued. But behind the headlines and the spectacle there's another Iran, one where 88 million citizens face daily economic hardship, struggling to make ends meet in a challenging environment. Decades of international sanctions, government mismanagement, and political isolation have battered the economy, leaving factories shuttered and businesses struggling to survive. In Tehran's bustling streets, people worry about rising food prices, the scarcity of essential medicines, and the constant erosion of their savings as inflation bites deeper each year. University graduates, once hopeful for the future, now struggle to find jobs that match their skills, often facing unemployment or underemployment. Families are squeezed by relentless inflation, forced to make tough choices about what they can afford, and watching their purchasing power shrink. The government faces a stark and difficult choice, whether to continue investing heavily in military might, or to address the urgent domestic needs of its people, such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Every dollar spent on missiles and defense systems is a dollar not spent on hospitals, schools, or social programs that could improve daily life for millions. This tension between external power and internal discontent defines modern Iran, forcing its leaders to constantly balance the demands of national security with the growing frustrations of ordinary citizens. For adversaries, Iran's economic weakness is a pressure point to exploit. For allies, its military remains a valuable regional asset, shaping alliances and rivalries. Iran's military presence in neighboring countries and its alliances with regional groups further complicate the picture, making it both a source of stability and tension in the Middle East. Ordinary Iranians live this duality every day, proud of their nation's resilience and history yet weary from the endless economic hardship and uncertainty about the future. Many families endure long lines for basic goods, and the elderly remember better times hoping for relief from the constant struggle. The world watches as Iran walks this tightrope, its choices shaping not only international relations but also the daily lives of its people, with every decision echoing far beyond its borders. Understanding this contrast between military strength and economic struggle is key to grasping Iran's actions, motivations, and the challenges it faces on the world stage. The tale of two Irans, one defined by military might, the other by economic hardship, continues to drive the nation's story today, shaping its destiny and the hopes of its people. This is the reality behind the headlines, a nation caught between power and struggle, resilience and hardship, as it charts its uncertain path forward. For decades, international sanctions have shaped nearly every aspect of Iranian life, isolating the economy from the rest of the world and creating invisible barriers that affect daily routines. These sanctions have severely restricted Iran's vital oil exports, cutting off the country's main source of income and limiting its ability to trade freely. Although intended to pressure the government, the harshest impact falls on ordinary people, making everyday necessities more expensive and turning simple errands into stressful challenges. With oil revenue plummeting, the national budget has been slashed, crippling public services like education, infrastructure, and social support systems that millions rely on. Salaries often go unpaid, factories and projects grind to a halt, and families are left facing growing uncertainty about their future. Prices for basics like bread, rice, and meat have soared, as sanctions make importing goods costly and drive up the price of local products, putting even simple meals out of reach for many. The once strong Iranian middle class is shrinking rapidly, with many families slipping into poverty and struggling to maintain their former standard of living. Healthcare is especially hard hit. Financial restrictions make it nearly impossible to import essential medicines and medical equipment, leaving hospitals understocked and patients vulnerable. Desperate patients are forced to search for life-saving drugs on the black market, often paying exorbitant prices for medicine with no guarantee of safety or effectiveness. The daily grind for food, medicine, and a sense of stability has become the new normal, with families adapting to shortages and uncertainty as part of everyday life. Sanctions, meant to pressure leaders, have instead cast a long, unrelenting shadow over millions of ordinary lives, shaping the hopes and dreams of an entire generation. For most Iranians, survival is a daily struggle, dictated by forces far beyond their control, as they try to make ends meet with fewer resources and little certainty about tomorrow. The economic pain is not just a statistic, it's personal, immediate, and relentless, touching every household and every generation. This is the hidden cost of international pressure, a daily struggle for survival that remains largely unseen by the outside world. The Iranian rial's relentless decline is more than an economic statistic. It's a crisis touching every household. As the rial loses value, savings evaporate and inflation soars, making daily life unpredictable. Imports become unaffordable, driving up prices for everything from food to electronics. The government's attempts to stabilize the currency, setting exchange rates, cracking down on traders, have failed to address deeper issues. The gap between official and market rates creates chaos for businesses and families alike. Those with access to dollars or gold can shield themselves, but most Iranians watch their purchasing power vanish. The currency crisis widens inequality and erodes hope for the future. The rial's collapse is a symbol of Iran's broader struggles, economic, social, and political. For millions, it's a daily reminder of uncertainty and lost dreams. The crisis is not just about money, it's about survival. Iran's military is one of the largest and most complex in the region, split between the regular army and the powerful Revolutionary Guard, known as the IRGC. Together, these forces form a dual structure that allows Iran to project both conventional and unconventional power, giving the country a unique military identity. Decades of international embargoes and sanctions have left much of Iran's hardware outdated, with tanks and aircraft often decades old. Yet rather than fall behind, Iran has adapted to these challenges, finding creative ways to keep its military relevant. The country has invested heavily in developing homegrown ballistic missiles and drones, which are now central to its defense strategy. These weapons are designed and built domestically, showcasing Iran's determination to achieve self-sufficiency in military technology. Missiles capable of reaching across the Middle East serve as both a powerful deterrent and a point of national pride, sending a clear message to rivals and adversaries alike. The drone program, both cheap and effective, allows Iran to project power far beyond its borders and support allies in regional conflicts from the Middle East to North Africa. These innovations help offset Iran's conventional weaknesses, enabling it to challenge technologically superior foes and maintain a strategic edge despite limited resources. Iranian drones and missiles have changed the balance in conflicts from Yemen to Ukraine, providing new tools for asymmetric warfare and shifting the dynamics on distant battlefields. Iran's military machine is defined by sheer numbers, ingenuity, and a relentless willingness to innovate under pressure, constantly evolving to meet new threats and challenges. Its growing arsenal is a warning to the world. Even isolated, Iran can shape the battlefield and influence events far beyond its borders. This combination of numbers, technology, and strategy forms the backbone of Iran's modern military doctrine, ensuring its relevance in a rapidly changing world. Iran knows it can't win a conventional war against the US or Israel, so it relies on asymmetric warfare. This means exploiting enemy weaknesses with unconventional tactics and a network of proxies. Groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis extend Iran's reach, allowing it to strike indirectly and deter attacks. In the Persian Gulf, swarms of fast boats threaten vital shipping lanes, raising the stakes for any confrontation. Cyber warfare is another tool. Iran can disrupt power grids and financial systems, causing chaos at low cost. The goal isn't outright victory, but to make conflict too costly for adversaries. This multi-layered approach, proxies, naval tactics, cyber attacks, defines Iran's survival strategy. Iran's playbook is about deterrence, disruption, and keeping enemies off balance. It's a strategy born of necessity, not choice. In a dangerous world, it's how Iran stays in the game. A full-scale war involving Iran would be catastrophic for its people and the region. Airstrikes would devastate cities and infrastructure, plunging millions into a humanitarian crisis. Oil exports would halt, global prices would spike, and economies across the Gulf would suffer. Millions could be displaced, creating a massive refugee crisis and long-term instability. The trauma and destruction would scar generations, fueling cycles of hatred and revenge. The true cost of war isn't just in buildings lost, but in lives shattered and futures stolen. For Iran and its neighbors, the price of conflict is always too high. Avoiding war is not just strategic, it's a moral imperative. Iran's foreign policy is a web of alliances, rivalries, and proxy relationships. Russia and China offer diplomatic cover and economic cooperation, helping Iran withstand Western pressure. But Iran's real leverage comes from its network of proxies, groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis. These allies extend Iran's influence and make any conflict a regional affair. On the other side, the US, Israel, and Gulf states see Iran as a major threat, fueling a shadow war of cyber attacks and covert strikes. Every move by one side triggers a reaction from the other, keeping the region on edge. This delicate balance means even small incidents can spiral into wider conflict. Understanding Iran's alliances and enmities is key to understanding the region's volatility. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is razor thin. In this chess game, every piece matters. Despite the tension, diplomacy remains the best hope for peace. The 2015 nuclear deal showed that dialogue can work, rolling back Iran's nuclear program and easing sanctions, if only temporarily. The US withdrawal shattered trust and reignited tensions, but also proved that negotiation is possible. Reviving talks will require real compromise. Iran must prove its nuclear program is peaceful, while the West must offer lasting sanctions relief. Trust is fragile, but the alternative, war, would be disastrous for all. Diplomacy is slow and frustrating, but it's the only way to avoid catastrophe. Investing in talks isn't weakness, it's strategic necessity. The future depends on leaders choosing dialogue over destruction. The stakes are global, and the clock is ticking. Only diplomacy can pull Iran and the world back from the brink. Behind every headline about Iran's military or diplomacy are millions of ordinary people. They face daily struggles, job loss, inflation, and the fear of war. Their hopes and resilience are the true measure of Iran's story. The future is uncertain, tied to both economic hardship and political choices. Real stability will only come when the well-being of Iranians is at the center of any solution. As the world debates strategy, it's the people who pay the price. Their dreams and futures are what truly matter. This is the real story of Iran, one of endurance, hope, and the quest for a better life.